sometimes people have what it takes, but they haven't recognized it yet. Don't just go forward. So welcome. Hello, everybody, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls.
What you need to do is be that person that's different.
And it's bigger than you think. Yes, these calls Monday through Friday, Eastern time. If you're watching live, awesome. Appreciate you guys. If you're watching on the recording, hit subscribe, comment, all that kind of fun stuff. Got some guests that will be coming up in the next few weeks. As soon as the exact date and time is established, I will let you guys know. Some are branding experts, some are social media experts. Others have, a few other cool things that we'll be talking about. I have a professional in the field of entrepreneurs and ADHD that has agreed to come on. I'm super excited about. He has written multiple books, just working out the dates. So I'm really excited about that. And then a few others, guys that are doing, that started on social media and have built up doing basic things, kind of like you guys are doing, and decided to build into a bigger business and host their own masterminds and other things like that. And I know some of you guys have the goal to get started first, but long-term you have some other goals. And so it'll be pretty neat to have some of these guys on. So, Yvonne had an exercise to say who we are and who we stand for. Yeah, absolutely. I'm in intercultural harmony and radiant health for the world. Yeah, maybe not the first thing that you say, but great to be able to declare that at different times. Yeah, I've got a friend that does that. Jason actually does. He's got his own kind of little ethos. And the last couple of times I've got him on the phone. Jason, guys, for some of you guys that don't know, is one of my mentors and now one of my best friends. I was talking with him earlier at 20 minutes ago. I was on the phone with him. And the last kind of 3-4 times I've gotten on a call, he screams out his ethos to me. And now it's just become a joke. I'm like, do you have to do that now every time you call someone? He's like, no, I'm just doing it for you. So I'm struggling with commitment to my goals and think it mostly must be because of past self-limiting habits. Absolutely. So this challenge, some of you guys that are brand new, there's been ongoing challenges that maybe I said that wrong. I've given challenges to push the group further, and I partake in them as well. So if you're not a part of it, feel free to join. If you're part of it and you're struggling, Michelle, we're looking at self-limiting habits. How many of others, either that are on video or can drop into the chat, how many of you guys have continued the challenge and found the second month almost more difficult than the first? Or how many of you are looking at it and going, how many of you adjusted because you did big numbers in October and you adjusted and now it's like, well, it's easy. And like the challenge almost isn't there, right? I lowered the number of push-ups and some other things. And I'm like, I get done with the number that I had decided daily. And I feel like I'm not doing enough. Now I've modified things. I've learned that challenges like giving myself something to consistently do day in and day out is something that helps me with my bit of ADHD that I've got, helps keep me focused on other projects as well. It's interesting to me that just doing that. Now, what I want to do though, is I want to look a little bit at goals. I want to look at some success habits and why people don't achieve their goals. So if you guys have comments or anything about that, feel free to drop into the chat or pop on. So here's the thing about success and people in general. 83% of the population just don't have goals at all. They don't set actual goals. They say a lot of things like they either don't have any drive to really do anything different other than it would be nice if. How many times in your life have you said something like, oh, I would love to play the guitar. I wish I could play the piano. Oh, it would be great to lose a little weight. I'd really like to spend more time with friends, or I'd like to have more time with family. I wish I could make a little bit more money. Those aren't goals. Those are barely aspirations. That's a bunch of lip service, right? So 83% of the population are people with no goals. 14% of people that create goals and that are in their head, they've got goals in their head. They're more successful on average than people with no goals. But there's only about 3 to 5% of the population that actually write their goals down consistently. So this isn't, I wrote it down once. They're consistently writing them down and paying attention to their written goals. And the amount of success in all sorts of different categories skyrockets. Now, before I get into some of these other reasons, people don't succeed and everything else, let me see real quick. I'm just starting, typical, I procrastinate, didn't start with the group. Hey, as long as you're starting, then keep it up. still not wanting to get up early and go out each day. And that's the thing, like it takes time to build those habits. It really does. I'm on to the second stage of my 30-day challenge, completing the entire funnel. Good. Pushing for even higher goals in November has shown the need to also strengthen organizational and good. And that's part of this. So these daily goals are to help you realize that you can fulfill something for yourself, increase that level of accomplishment, which in turn should increase some self-confidence and self-belief. But at the same time, it will force you, like Michael's talking about, to be more organized and to stop procrastinating other things and stop filling your day with useless activities that aren't going to advance you towards your overall goals. How many of you guys have kind of given up or maybe done less TV, less nonsensical social media or whatever it is? We've all got something that fills our time. There's a good chance if you're going out and you're doing this and you're doing this little bit each and every day, you're writing down your goals, you're paying attention to it. Hey, I've got to do my X number of steps, my push-ups, my workout, my video, my funnel, whatever. The more you pay attention to that stuff, the more it becomes, hey, I'm going to make this happen. And so I'm getting rid of, Netflix or Hulu or going out and wasting time doing other things, right? Not meeting my daily goals is putting my feelings into a less confident space. So then adjust your goals, right? Michelle, you have a tendency to overwork yourself anyway and to add too many things to the plate. One of the things may be looking at everything that's going on. I don't remember if it was Michael just now posted about saying no to certain activities that he's been doing for a long, long time because they were necessary before. But are they right now? Or are you just doing them because you've always done them and people expect you to do it? Michael, you got a comment there?
Well, that was it. Yeah. I look back and I don't know whether it was ego or just made me feel good that someone needed me. But now I don't need that anymore. And my whole outlook and my goals and my, I guess my whole self-worth has changed completely since those days.
Yeah, there's a shift that happens. One of the hardest things for me to do, and I just did an Enneagram test. I've talked to you guys a little bit about that. It's one of the self-awareness things that you can go do. And Sierra was looking at it this morning, and I was looking at mine. And one of my things is, the peacemaker and helping people be, helping create contentment, helping solve problems, helping other people solve problems, and doing everything that's within my power. But what that means, if I'm not careful, is I say yes to a lot of things. And I put more and more on my plate because I want to take it off of your plate. If I can make it easier for you, then I want to do that. And sometimes that means, especially as a mom or as a dad, it's easier for me to do it. I'm better at doing it. I'm going to do it. Right. And in a way, we're enabling people at that point. We kind of are creating a level of codependency. And I'm not, again, a clinical psychologist, and I'm not diving into that, but we start doing things. And then one of the most difficult things that I had to learn to do was say no. And what happened in some of those relationships that I started to say no to meant that those people got more upset and it created more conflict. And some of them lost some control over my life, and they didn't like that, any of those things. And I don't like conflict. So then you're stuck between trying to get pulled back into doing it anyway versus taking care of what you need to take care of, which ultimately, above and beyond, I want everyone to be super clear about this. If you don't take care of you, then none of the rest of it matters. And everything else is going to fall apart. At some point, you break. There is a limit. And some of it may just be, I'm not getting all this other stuff done. I'm not getting my goals done. Well, why? Well, because I'm spending all my time doing stuff for other people. I'm doing their laundry and their dishes and their cooking when they're perfectly capable of doing it. And I'm not trying to single you out, Michelle, and I appreciate your strength in allowing me to just kind of talk, because a lot of us are dealing with this. It's not just you, I promise, because it's not just that, right? Guys, we can shift this example. It doesn't have to be laundry and dishes and cooking. It could be doing the project that the manager is putting on your plate that really they should be doing, or someone else in the workforce should be doing, right? There's always something there. But we get it done because it's just easier to do it than have to deal with that argument that's going to create a little bit of conflict. And how is that really going to affect our relationship long-term, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. right? And so it takes away the time from you. And one of the most difficult lessons that I've had to learn over the course of the last decade is that if I'm not well, and if I'm not pushing myself, and if I don't prioritize me, then everything else isn't going to matter. And it's not egotistical or selfish in that regards. And you guys got to understand this. You can't be your best self unless you do prioritize you. And if you don't do that, then you're being selfish, because it means that you're unwilling to face the difficult moments. That to me is one of the most selfish things you can ever do in this life, is not live up to or attempt to live up to your potential simply because you want to solve other people's problems, because that's easier than dealing with your own crap. It is. It's so much easier to do someone else's thing and then, I couldn't get my stuff done. I wanted to, but I couldn't. Well, why not? Well, because I was running this errand for this person, or I was checking someone's email that they said they had sent me and I hadn't responded back, and blah, blah, blah. And then you look at the email and you go, well, that's something that you should have done. Or they're asking you to do another task that really isn't your responsibility anyway. Or they're asking for, hey, I'm not able to volunteer in X way, or hey, I would love to be able to do that. I'm totally a team player, and I understand in the work environment that we're in. Look, I've already picked up the slack on these other things. I'm at my capacity right now. If I take on any more projects, the projects that I'm on are going to suffer. What do you think we can do? Right? And most managers, if you approach it in a professional way, will listen and understand. And guys, here, I want to be real clear. If some of you guys are in a position where you have a manager that says, well, you're not being a team player and we need you to do this, and if you don't, you may lose your job. Guess what? We're in a work environment where you can get another job right now. Like, people are hiring everywhere. So if you feel like you're stuck, that's your own bullshit as well. You're not a tree. If you need to move, get up and move. Right? Oh, but I've got my friends. Really? Are they? Because if you switched right now, I guarantee they'd find somebody else in a week. All those friends, I spent all this time in between when I was doing restoration. Look, over a decade in restoration, going out to after hours all the time. How often do you think I hang out with those people now? No, because why were they hanging out with me? Well, because I was in marketing and I take them out for food and drinks. Right? And right now, that doesn't fit the course of my life. So I'm sorry. Right? I mean, those are some of those hard truths, right? It's not demands with my kids. They're quite independent doing, I'm having to put boundaries up now, though, with a group that I'm in with collaborative book effort. Collaborative means I do my shit, you do yours. I hand it in, done. Well, we need help writing the intro. Okay, ghostwriter. How about we all pitch in $100 and pay a ghostwriter to write the intro for us? Done. Oh, I'll write that. Absolutely. You want me to write the extra parts and help blend it together? Okay. So here's what I'm charging an hour. Oh, but you're so good at it. Can't you do it? I can't. No. And if they keep pushing back, you say, you know what? I'm just going to write my own damn book. Thank you. If you guys want to contribute to mine, that's okay. But it's now going to be Michelle King and others et al. And I could put your name inside the inside cover. Thank you very much. It's a hard conversation to have, but that's kind of what you need to do, right? So, and yeah, taking care of, I understand it. It's rough there. Okay, so I love that. You're not a tree. My company required any of us involved must be active and hold leadership positions. Now, yeah. So here's the thing. Like, I did the same thing when I was doing the restoration work. So I joined a group called BNI, which is referral networking, right? And it's industry specific. And so I became active there. And then I was, in a leadership position in my chapter. And then I became an area director. And so I was going around to different chapters, which was great because it was escalating my business. Because I would walk into a chapter, I would have immediate credibility with the group that was there, right? Awesome. I was getting referrals from that. And then they said, hey, Andrew, if you guys are familiar with BNI, you've heard of something called the Member Success Program, the MSP, which is a 3-hour-long initial training. Hey, if you want to get started, you want to be successful with BNI, here's what you need to do. They said, Andrew, do you want to do that? We're going to train you to do that so you could do the advanced MSP. Well, the advanced MSP was an all-day training, and I was going to get paid for every person that walked in that door. And I was going to get contact with all of the top referring people in the, in the region. Absolutely. Let's do that. But then they started asking for more and more and more above, like extra calls and extra training in the middle of the week. And all of a sudden, this turned into 25 to 35 hours a week, and I cut it off. I said, look, I'm in a leadership position, but it's now affecting my life and my business, and the cost benefit isn't working out. And some of you guys are in that position like Michael's talking about. You get to this point where you go, hey, I'm now capable of doing things without this, and it's pulling me away from this goal. And that's what you need to look at in your life. If you got things that you did because they were good, but it's pulling you away from allowing yourself to be great, then that good is no longer good. And that's one thing that successful people are good at, is moving quickly and then adjusting. And if you are not consistently adapting in your life, if you are not a different person now and driven differently now than you were 6 months ago, then you're slacking. Especially some of you guys that have been on here for nearly a year. If you're not pushing yourself, if you don't have people that you run into now that go, I mean, what's going on with you? Like, I see you doing this and this and this, and you look like you've lost weight, and there's just a glow. And like, if you're not pushing yourself, boys and girls, then go put yourself in the corner and think it through and figure out what you need to do. And then you come out of timeout and get your ass to work, right? That's what we need to do. Okay. So on that note, let me share a couple of little things with you. Okay. Top reasons why people fail in their goals. They're not totally sure what they want. They have vague goals. They're not compelling enough. They lack the focus. They forget willpower and then clear deadlines. This to me should probably be higher up. If I'm not clear on what I want, then I let other things get in the way. And if I have that level of codependency that I've created in my life simply because I've enabled other people, or I've said yes, and this is, and look, this is me, guys. I can share. I want to call next week. I'll pull it up. I'll share the Enneagram that says, here you go. And I'll just open up full transparency. You guys will get to see the shiny and the dull that I've got to work on too. It's the same thing. If you're constantly trying to help other people to your own detriment, there's an issue. There's nothing wrong with helping people. If you want to define success, when you look at, I'm going to finish that up later. I'm going to get into those. But when you look at how society defines success, it's so interesting. There's so many different studies. And they interview men and women in the workplace, and then they interview them over here, and then they interview them over here. And I saw one where this whole percentage thing, and it was, personal and family, and, men and women are different. But then there was one where women said that 0% of the women surveyed said that financial success had any bearing on success at all. 0%. Like, I don't get that personally. I understand that there's different definitions of success. And when I talk about success, really what I'm talking about is satisfaction in life. Whatever your definition of wherever you feel satisfied is fine, right? I'm not going to define success for you. My definition is going to be totally different. Divorced 42-year-old dad who's engaged to an amazing woman who likes to travel. My definition of success is going to be different than every single one of you. So you've got to define that first. And then you got to go, what's in my way? And then what you have to do is figure out what you need, what needs to be in place. So what does happiness mean then, Sally? I agree, happiness. So where does the happiness come from? Because it's going to be different for everybody.
Your satisfaction.
So, and put satisfaction into a lot of these, when you go, all right, what does success look like? What does happiness look like? What is contentment? Use satisfaction. Whatever it is. Am I satisfied? Right now, there's nothing wrong with having what you have and being grateful for what you have, but not being totally satisfied, right? I'm grateful for, I'm eternally grateful for my children. I'm not totally satisfied with where my relationship is right now because of all sorts of other factors. I'm grateful for the relationship that I have with my fiance, I'm not totally satisfied simply because I want us to continue to get better. Right? It's not bad, but I know we can continue to improve. I'm not satisfied with my health. I'm healthier now than I've been in a few years, but I'm not satisfied because I know that there's more to do. I'm not satisfied with my business because I know that there's more to do. There's a difference in, you know what, I'm okay here, but I'm willing to do more. And then it's, looking at willpower, right? What you've always done and how to change out of that. And then how to keep yourself focused so you can do these daily things, so you can accomplish, you can check that off. And then if you're sitting there and you're struggling and you're not getting some of these daily things done, then you need to first look at, odds are, Michelle, if we broke down what you do in a day, people on here would be like, holy shit, I'm lazy as hell. Look at what that woman does, right? I promise you, because you and I have had a couple of conversations, like I feel like, well, damn, I do nothing, right? I need to get my butt in gear. But the thing is there are certain priorities, and you've placed yourself, and guys, like maybe not here, but in the Skype group, give some applause to the woman and to the rest of you for doing everything that you're doing and for battling it and for being willing to come on and admit stuff like that. But a lot of you guys have placed yourself second in your life for a long, long time. Maybe not even second, maybe lower on the totem pole. And it's time you became first in your own life. What's the phrase I think I've talked about before? It's time you became the main character in your own story, right? Like, quit playing the supporting role. You're not the comic relief. You need to figure out what archetype you are and then go to work on it. There are definite behaviors when it comes to success or satisfaction that are necessary. There are variables involved, but I think one of the biggest things that you will find, no matter where you look, is that they prioritized their health, their mental health, their activities, and their personal growth. And in doing that, it allowed them to affect the lives of those that are in their inner circle more profoundly and give them a farther reach than they ever would have had if they hadn't prioritized themselves. Right? I mean, there's so much you're capable of doing if you just recognize the power within you. On that note,
sometimes people have what it takes, but they haven't recognized it.
Just go a little bit more about it.
What do you need to do? How do you stand?
And let me wrap up. Go out, have an awesome day.
Different, and it's bigger than you think.
Record and then rise from the ashes. So I like the feedback. Love you guys. Go out, have an awesome week.